Hello everybody, my name is Squaggy and today we are gonna do it once more. We're going to review every card of a new main set, this time DZ-BT12. DZ-BT12 is the last set of the year, Chasm of Lost Souls, and again the slides are mostly done by Cloudbee, so thank her for all the nice backgrounds. So, if you are familiar with what happened last time, we went through basically every card and we rated them on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. This time we're gonna do it a little bit more differently. I'm being a little bit more stringent with how we give out these stars because I felt like I was being a little too kind, too centrist to a lot of the bad cards in that set. So while it was very satisfying to say 5 stars, instead I'm going to lower it to 4 stars as the cap, just so I can avoid giving it an in-the-middle score. So at 4 stars, the deck/card is likely going to be in a meta deck or feature in it. At 3 stars, it is possible to be meta or feature in a meta deck, but it is not as certain of a future for it. At 2 stars, it is not really a meta-relevant card, maybe a quality of life upgrade for a bad deck, and it's still a good card in a vacuum, but it's not gonna make that big of a meta splash. And at 1 star, it's pack filler, it's pretty bad. Most cards I'm going to rate in batches here, so you're gonna see like a group of cards all having a combined rating. We'll still have individual card ratings, but I just wanted to show you how all the cards are rated all together, because Vanguard is a game you don't really play in a vacuum, you play with other cards. In addition to that, the higher rarity cards' strengths and their flaws are going to outweigh the lower ones, because you, the consumer, are going to buy these triple rares at higher prices, so they better be good. So we'll start off here with the stride support. I've rated all the stride support in one set, because I feel like all the stride decks kind of play really similarly. Not in that they are the same, obviously there are very big differences between each one, but mostly in that they are more of like slow, grindier decks in this format that rely on the G-Zone mechanic, etc, etc. You get the idea. They're all gonna play kind of similarly, at a similar pace to one another. They're not really gonna have different kill turns or whatnot, except for maybe Luard, who probably is the most different of all of them. But all in all, we're gonna rate these 3 stars. They're good, kind of in a loose sense of the word. So for the most part, the new strides themselves could have been completely textless. They could have had no text on them whatsoever, and you'd probably still run them just because you can flip these up instead of your bigger stride, your endgame strides, right? But both of them are pretty narrow use in general. Ogma is more of a, has a broader use case in that you can win the board back in some matchups and he still, gives you an extra attack, but Mujin Lord is basically Diet Mukuro, and that's not great. Individually, I find Mujin Lord, I put him at 3 stars because you will run him in Shiranui because you might as well. It's not like it takes up a resource or anything, but in some amount of testing, we find it really difficult, like my friends and I, we found it kind of difficult to imagine a world where we want to stride Mujin Lord over Mukuro. And even then, it kind of fights with Maguntembu for the stride slot because Maguntembu flips the card as well. And Mujin Lord's drive check 1, while kind of nice, like it's technically kill pressure on 4, the amount of resource you have to put in to get this CB1, Soul Blast 1, drop 1, it's just a lot. Like, it feels like you could have removed one of those costs, it would have probably then been a reasonable option. But as it stands, it's kind of difficult to see a time where you want to stride Mujin Lord, not just because you couldn't find the Shiranui for stride fodder. Oh gosh, I messed up the name. This is Tamahagane. Do not read that name, that's not Blaze Maiden. Oddly, I copied the slides, right? Tamahagane is a 1-star card. I think Tamahagane is bad. Like, you should not run this at all, basically. I guess it's like slightly better than what is the DZ-BT09 dragon? Yunjin in terms of exactly having 5,000 more power. But it's basically CB1 draw 1, right? Like all the fluffy text at the bottom there, that just boils down to CB1 draw 1 on swing. You may think that, oh, I can actually proc this more than once over the course of a long game, but that kind of requires Tamahagane to stay on board, which is very difficult to do, especially in a stride deck where you kind of have to intercept and use all your resources just to stay afloat. It's not great. Like, it's really hard to find a situation where I want this over Yunjin or something, or Fordin Revoltis, who perform different things altogether, but Yunjin from the DZ-BT09 set, I hope that's its name, puts the cards to soul without needing to soul charge blindly. Fordin Revoltis is a better aggression tool early on. This puts Tamahagane in a weird spot where it's not really good at one or the other and just kind of there. You play it because it says Nubatama on it and it makes you feel like you are in the anime and playing Nubatama. But you probably don't want to play it in an optimized Shiranui list. At least that's what I think. I think it's quite bad, actually. Ogma, on the other hand, is also a 3-star card. I know people give Ogma a lot of flack, and hey, his art isn't particularly cool, but his skill is actually fine, because there are situations where you would want to use this instead of Drag Driver. Like, there are situations I could imagine where you want to play kind of a board game and remove units so that you have a better chance of surviving next turn. It is kind of a hefty cost, CB1, Soul Blast 1, and then you have the CB1 again to get a restand. But Lord can afford it. Lord, as it stands, is the most different of the Stride decks with, like, you know, the multiple draw triggers, kind of the tanky builds that Luard plays. It's not very similar to the other ones exactly, and just because of how his GB2 works, that cycle stuff back. Ogma is a welcome addition, not something you want to stride every game, but you'll find more times than not where you go, oh, I should probably stride Ogma here, and it will swing the game in my favor, as opposed to Mujin Lord, who you don't want to stride unless you miss Mukuro. They're both good cards, they're both great to flip face up and give 5,000 to your front row, but I would find it very difficult to imagine that you want to stride these over Drag Strider or Mukuro exactly for your kill turns. These don't really change the math on the Stride decks, and Fuamak is it's a 1-star card. You maybe run 1, but I think Keter Sanctuary is really good, great ones, and you don't want to run this too badly. The problem with a lot of the Stride decks now is that they take really long to kind of get going, and a lot of games end really quick. A lot of decks are fast enough to filter and check aggressive triggers on you before you have a chance to play the game, and then they'll kill you before you have a chance to get to where you want to scale. It's rough for Stride decks in general, which is why they're all kind of 3 stars in that they're good. You'll probably play them because Strides are quote-unquote kind of stable, but I would be hard-pressed to imagine that you would actively play them and win. I think it's difficult to imagine a world where you play these into Youthberg and you don't get blasted early, right? The other 2 Stride decks that aren't Hari and Night Rose also got cards. Clockwork Dragon over here is a 1-star card for now. It's kind of like the order that Chronojet has, but as a unit, which is fine. It's not great. It doesn't count as a grade 3 for Stride. You already have it in your drop zone. It's fine. Like, it just is hard to imagine a world where you have the deck space for this. Jet is kind of toolboxy as is, but I still find it difficult to find the space you could have this to play. I think Torque the Armed Dragon is a 2-star card, just because I like the skill. This is CV1, draw 1. Soul Charging 1 is good in Messiah. It becomes a Soul Blast later, which is a draw. And it is a Stride fodder as well, so it's pretty runnable. Like, you can run it for some early game, not say pressure, but a unit you can play early game that you are willing to let go, which is nice, but I still think it's hard to find the space. I'll put it at 2 because I do think Messiah decks will probably run this at like 1 or 2 copies, but I just don't see a world where this is the card that you want every game. Okay, let's move on to Dragon Empire, starting off with Brawlers. So Brawlers, if you are unaware, are the new encounter of the set. So I think overall the Brawler package is okay. Like, they are a 3-star deck overall, which they could seem at a contention, but they might not. There's a lot to get the crit to work. You have to get either a Brawler or a card that's greater than, and for the most part you will hit it, but sometimes you will just whiff your crit and that's pretty bad. A lot of his power budget is in the giving your front row 5,000 power. Really good in parentheses. It is hard to see a world where this is kind of a make or break skill, because the reason why it has so many plus 5k skills is because it doesn't have Persona Ride. That's why all these encounter decks, Legion decks, they don't have Persona Ride, so they have to have a lot of power to their front row already. It has a board wipe, which is nice. A board wipe in parentheses, not parentheses, and like asterisks again, because you have to move the units to the front row to first attack them, which means you can't exactly snipe off back row units if there is a front row unit already. Like, you have to snipe off the front row first. You can't really touch problem back row pieces for the most part. Big Bang Slash Dragon is also pretty good. You might not even run this in your right deck. You could run this 4 copies in main deck. It is CB1, draw 1, which is a good card. But you can run a Thunderstorm Dragoon instead as your grade 2 in Brawlers if you want to search more. But I do think this is the superior right option just because it draws earlier, you dig faster. And again, it gains power. 3-star card, it's fine. Obviously, all the cards that say on Vanguard Circle, when placed on Vanguard Circle, these work when you Legion. So keep that in mind. That's where a lot of the power budget goes to. But overall, you can kind of see that this is a deck that aims to give a lot of power to your front row, similar to Minerva. And it's also going to play on a similar axis to Minerva, because this is a deck that wants to go second, so you can get the D-Legion off really quick. Kind of unlike Minerva is that if you go first, your turn 3 isn't so bad. because there are a couple cards in the deck that do work early on. A Wildfish Dragon, for example, can do its combined rushing skill, can do its restand skill before your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3, meaning you can have really early multi-attacks with the deck. It's nice to have, but at the same time, it is still competing with stuff like Minerva for the going second deck in the format, right? Threatening Brawler Kome is fine, you probably won't run him too much, he's at 2 maybe, but Brawlers do have better things to run, because Dragon Empire has good pieces as well. The more I go over these cards, just want to talk, these are the 1-star cards of Brawlers, but overall, the deck is fine. I think the deck is a lot better than I give it credit for. The right line grade 1 is really good. Adding top 7, anything from the clan to your hand is good. Adds stuff like Bellicosity Dragon, which is nice. Adds Rising Phoenixes if you're playing that kind of build. So it is a good card. I'm just kind of iffy on the deck as a whole. Before I move on, I'll keep it on this screen. 2-star because I don't really like his art. Brawlers in general, this set, are interesting because Rising Phoenix and Yunjin you can play together to make a 6-attack combo, but also it's so much to set up. Deck spaces can get a little bit tight, and the difference in the ceiling between him and Minerva is kind of, I mean, it's not that far apart. Minerva's power to front row, and the way Brawlers gives a lot of power to the front row is pretty similar, except the center line pressure of Minerva is much higher because your triple drive into restanding Vanguard with single drive, that's 4 drive checks. Whereas this one is stuck on twin drive, and while it can get a crit and its power does go really high, it's probably just getting PG'd and then that's it. You're just stuck with all your 1 crit attacks with very low chance to see triggers, unless you've been delegioning so much that your deck is nothing but triggers and you look like the Kai versus Guy art fight, right? While stuff like the Restander / Combined Rusher card, they're kind of creatively bankrupt. It is a good card. It does gain a lot of power. It is effective at achieving, brawler multi-attacks, even if you don't want to play the Rising Phoenix's lines. And I do think overall it's a better showcase of D-Legion than what Daikaiser did. But I would have reservations in saying that this deck will make it very far onto tier lists or in tournament success. I think if you want to go second deck, you play Minerva. Yeah, Wildfish Dragon is kind of doing a lot of the heavy lifting of the aggression, and the rest of the deck is kind of low pressure. It's kind of weird to set up. It does draw a ton. This deck has a really decent draw engine, and you're basically never going to whiff the Legion early game. It is still hard to conceive of a world where you want to play this because you think it is the best deck in the room, rather than just because you want to play it because Brawlers are cool. The early game of the deck is likely where this deck is going to shine as well. Maybe not shine, but it's going to be pretty decent. You can compete in a similar way to how Minerva can use Coco and Dissection Angels and stuff to draw cards, with the way that there are a ton of really good cyclers in Dragon Empire. The Grade 2 Brawler drawing a card is good. It's pretty good at finding your pieces, sans drive checking triggers. Like, it's pretty good at finding your pieces just by sheer drawing. So I think it's fine. I think D-Legion is not a mechanic that is fated for success in the same way I don't think Stride is anymore. But it's fine. You could do a lot worse when you make an encounter deck. Next up, Sibyl. Sibyl has nothing major this set, but it does have like 2 cards, and these are more quality of life buffs. It becomes more competent, kind of putting the deck up to a more modern standard, but it will be hard to say that it is meta. So 2-star overall. Conflagrate Dragon is a 2-star card. It's really good, it's just in Sibyl. It kind of rounds out how Sibyl plays. Like, you play the normal order, you bring it back. Every turn you're going to have this card, and it's always going to give the unit in front 5k, which can be Sibyl himself, or can be the standing unit that Sibyl plays. Very efficient card, costs no resource whatsoever. Just, it's in Sibyl, and Sibyl probably will not see too much success this format. Frenzy Feather Dragon is kind of like Boulder Axe Dragon, but I think much worse because Boulder Axe Dragon's nice thing is that they're in the right line. And Varga didn't have too much to work with anyways, but this is just whatever. There's not much space in your grade 2 slot. You want to play stuff like Latifa and the Restander. It's hard to find the space in your front row. Next up is the generic stuff / all the pack filler. So here at the generics, we have Spiral Torment Dragon, Belligeraco, Spiral Torment Dragon, we'll call it that. This card is really good. This is probably one of the best cards in the set. It doesn't read too crazy because it doesn't have a lot of crazy skills in theory, but when you combine all 3 of these skills, it's insane. It's one of the best cyclers in aggressive strategies. I could see this played in something like Varga. I could see it played in like Shiranui if you really wanted an early game. It then converts into shield late game. It can intercept from back rows. It doesn't interfere with your attack patterns as is. It works really well even beyond the Dino Dragon stuff. In case the wording's a bit unclear, as long as you're a grade 2, it comes back as stand. Only if you're grade 1 does it come back as rest, and that's completely fine. This is a really good card. I would highly recommend picking this up if you are a Dragon Empire player. A lot of decks could use a card like this to kind of space fill. If you're not really a deck that needs to see pieces, or you can't afford stuff like soul and energy for those cyclers, this is going to be one of the best slot fillers in the game. Now we're on to everyone's favorite section, the pack filler commons. Liquid Flow Dragon, 1 star. CB1, draw 1. If you discard it for your card's ability is please don't run this. It's not even like discard for a ride, it's just discarded by card ability. I can't really think of one in general that I would play this in. I really can't think of one. Don't play this. Bad card. Stormclad Dragon, CB1 retire 1 is kind of interesting with 23,000 beta. You can run better things in Dragon Empire, 1 star. Also only work when your opponent is grade 3 or greater, a bit too slow. Stealth Beast Shacklecat. Don't be fooled by the name Stealth. Not good, probably will not be run when attacks are grade 3 or greater, not boosted. Gain some power, 1 star. This card is bad. Drag Raider Adiba. People were pretty, I don't know if it was a joke or if they were actually excited about the prospect of a deck having a 2 or more guard restrictor. Like any Dragon Empire deck could theoretically now have a 2 attack guard restrictor as long as you can play an order. People are like, oh, you can play it above Sagara. This card is bad, do not play this. Stealth Dragon, Guanzhen. Every deck has a clone of, every nation has a clone of this. If you have a clan icon, you can soul charge 1, and it gains 5,000 power if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3. This is the rating for all of them. 1 star. Do not run this. If Ammon existed, I could put the Dark States 1 up to 2. I can't because Ammon doesn't exist this set for some reason, so 1 star. Lots of things you could be playing in your encounter decks that are significantly better. Play stuff like your Cocos, your Dorians. Don't play this. Demonic Dragon Berserker Shuyu, 1 star. Don't play this. What is this? Boosted, hits, grade 3 unit, retire 1, add a order card back to your hand. Don't play this. Land Subvert Dragon. I wish this card was better because I really like aesthetics of like rock skin. 1 star. It involves your units being retired, so you have to kind of play off your opponent retiring you for a +5. Then if your opponent is grade 3 or greater, you get a 15k shield. That's about as good as Ezra were, conditionally. Don't play this card. Okay, let's talk Stoicheia. And Stoicheia is a lot more exciting this set, because Stoicheia got a pretty hyped up deck. Deeplands. Deeplands has a pretty strong early game with stuff like Harvest Elves, Philanders to fill the board, the Orca and stuff, and on turn 3 exactly, you can have a cap of 6 attacks, which is beyond something like Magnolia. These are kind of small attacks, but they are still attacks that can hit the Vanguard if your opponent doesn't pull a trigger. If you attack in a pattern that makes it so your opponent is kind of awkward to get them, like awkward to get defensive triggers, the deck can kind of shine. The unfortunate truth is that the deck is also kind of piece reliant, in that you have to always see like the order, you have to run a lot of millers to make sure you do see it, or you have to deep draw really hard with like the Orca and Mavis. It is really good resource efficiency, which is what I think is going to be the thing that makes or breaks this deck. Not really its hyper aggression, but more like the ability to always play a really strong resource game with Call of the Deeplands, which we'll get into in a bit, and the ability to EB2 call anything back, which can be stuff like Harvest Elf, can be stuff like Philanders, like Glean, which is their mill card. Overall, really optimistic for the deck. I think the deck can do pretty well. Not sure if it's going to be a tier 1 deck, but I could see this comfortably like tier 2, tier 3, and as such, 3 stars. Maybe 4 if I was really stretching it. 4. Yeah, you know what, 4. My trick star came out late. I did think I put this at 4, which is why I stopped for a bit. Going over the right line, this is a 4-star right line. He's lovely, he's so cute. Then the grade 1 searches off a Call of the Deeplands, which is your order. This is really important. Obviously, you need to see the order basically every turn if you want to have a chance of killing your opponent. And the order reads as such, which is why we can give it 4 stars. It is a 4-star order, really good card. The gist of it is just like it gives power to your front row. And also can call 2 units back by retiring 1. Use this to always make your board every turn. Retire stuff like Rotting Usurp Dragon if you're running it. To call it, to retire it, call 2 things back you actually want. and then proc stuff like Maydis and the Orca again just to continue cycling through your deck, so that you can check triggers and put them on your center line. Card is really good. Card is super resource efficient, plays in the drop zone so you can discard it for right when you add it to your hand after 1. Plays in drop zones so you can play it off your mills, for example like the right line Jilgun, who can play stuff off mill and mill 2 cards, which is really strong in this deck because you can have such a efficient way to bring stuff back with your Deeplands CP2. The Vanguard itself here, again, Energy Blast 2, call anything from the drop zone, and it has kind of a Revel Dress effect, which can carry on the triggers. This is a 4-star boss. I think this deck, again, if it was any deck to see meta contention, then it's this one, but I'm just concerned that it's a bit too trigger reliant on the offense. If you don't pull crits or something, it's really difficult to close out a game early on. This is the Revel form that they have for this set. You can Soul Blast 1, call back the Grade 3 you just Soul Blasted, and then you have 2 more attacks to go. Unless you use Rotting Usurp, then you can have 3 more attacks, making it a 6-attack deck. And it gains shield as well late game, so it's fine. Even on late game, like early game, it still has shield, so it's not like you're clogging up your deck with Grade 3s. It can gain Drive +1 if your opponent is Grade 3, which I mean is kind of slow-ish. Like Youthberg already gains +1 Drive on the Revel form on turn 3, going first. So I am surprised that this one doesn't either, but it is a solid card. Orgody over here is a 4-star card. You have to run this basically. Having the option of how you want to draw the card is really good, so you don't get a counterblast denied. Gaining power is good, gaining shield is good. A lot of the cards in the deck gain shield, so you can kind of play a really cool like grind game, resource efficient game. Always like 1-card guarding stuff, making sure that you can conserve like triggers in your hand for bigger attacks rather than using triggers on 10 guards. I do have a lot of hope for cards like that. I think Jernazak is like a 2-star card. I don't think there's space for it. It's probably one of the weakest cards out of this. It's okay. It's not bad. It's like a Combine Rusher, but in a deck where everything is Combine Rusher thanks to your Vanguard skill, it's harder to find the space for this. Glean I also think is a 2-star card. I think people are running it kind of in like 2s or 3s. Mill 1 of the top 3 isn't bad per se, but it's only when placed from hand in a deck that calls back from drop all the time. CB1 to draw 1 is a little pricey because you have to CB1 every turn to like draw 1 anyways with Orgody in later stages of the game usually, or to CB1 with your Vanguard so that you can get the multi-attack. So Glean, it's harder to see a world where you're always CB1, draw 1, like wow, I don't know. It's harder to see a world like that. Now we have the Estasion cards, and I think Estasion is really good this format. It's always been quite a fast deck, and it is still fast, but now it has some extra defensive utility, which you'll see in a bit. Thus, there's a really good improvement to the floor of the deck. Like, you can better control the amount of damage you take. Not only that, like, it's easier to get plant tokens on board, and I imagine that because of this, Estasion will be one of the faster decks in the format, and will have some meta relevance. This is probably the deck I believe in the most, that got like the most improved this set, because I think the card is crazy. A 4-star card, really strong. So the card I'm talking about here is Frayduel Offspring's Joy, which when discarded for a ride, and you're always Estasion, you can get 1 plant token to board. Decent effect already, because you want to have multiple units on board to put into the blast token. This accelerates that and makes it easier, like this +1 Shroom is 3 into blast token, already really good. It can bind so that you can get 2 more plant tokens, which helps it in case you whiff units or something. Makes it so you always have 3 to go into soul. But if you don't do that, it's also a extra shield, because you can bind it from your drop zone and then gain 10,000 power to your Vanguard when it's attacked. So it's multi-purpose and it works off board. And working off board is really good because Estasion has a really filled up board already. Usually like a Harvest Elf or an Elvina on one side, or like a plant token, and then 2 big Chunguses in the front. And it's really hard to find space to run a unit that you want to put on board. So it's great that they made a card that works in the drop zone and is multi-use, very, very versatile. Really excited about this card. I think it's super cool. Vulgars of Summer's Expanse I think is okay. It reads really good, in that it's a 15k attacker that also draws a card. It's kind of like in the pulse effect. And the second skill is really funny, stopping something like Leonore or Magnolia. But aside from that, it's hard to say. I still don't really want to see this in my hand. It's hard to find the space. It's hard to imagine that I call this off Estasion's skill. I think it's overall less kind of quote-unquote card advantage than what the other Summer already provides. so I'm iffy. Maybe I'm too attached to the old Seasoned Dragons. I really like them. But this deck, this card, I think reads a lot better than it actually does before. I'm happily accept if I'm wrong. I just think that there are better things to run in Estasion. Really interesting effect though. Stops SOR from being a massive threat, I guess, if that's something you're interested in. Conservation Elf, 1 star. 1 star. This card is not good. You don't really have a lot of soul in Estasion, even though it is a shield card. Having just a shield card is kind of bad. 8 or more plant gauges is exactly turn 3, so you can't use it early game for like a 10k Garter. Oh, you can actually, sorry. This doesn't change my opinion. There's still no space for this card. 1 star. Sky Ruler also got cards this set. Can you believe that? Sky Ruler was a deck that was kind of hyped up during DZ-BT12, thought to be one of the faster decks, a little underrated. Deck is bad. Deck is not good. It's very frail. It loses to anything that checks the green color trigger, and new support doesn't really fix that. This deck will not see meta play. You can play for fun, it's fine, but it's hard to imagine this works. The problem is that this card requires you to Persona Ride, and a lot of Sky Ruler builds don't even do that. You can get 15 or more cards in your drop zone pretty fast, but it's pretty unlikely that you win a game with Bludgeon Buffalo, so 2 crit attack. Brisk Musteed is also bad. This card is bad. Don't play this card. I mean, it's not bad. It's like, you can reduce the unit's original act by 1. Yay, I guess. But, hard to find a way to get it. I guess it's not hard to find a way to get it into a drop in Sky Ruler. Maybe I'm too harsh on this card just because I think the Sky Ruler cards are really bad because they're not going to see play, because Sky Ruler as a base is not particularly good. But I guess if I'm being a bit more charitable, imagine there's 2 trick stars here, okay? But yeah, not a fan of Sky Ruler's play pattern right now. Resting Place Deep in the Forest. This is a 2-star card. This is the new Blitz order. 2-star specifically just because I think maybe Magnolia can use it. Doing this and then intercepting with 3 cards is, I think, breaks what Honey Garden does, which is nice. Other than that, I mean, it's fine. Don't get too excited about this. I don't think this will see that much play. Now we're on to the cool cards, the ones that don't do anything. Cold Hearted Brave Shooter, 1 star. This unit plays on GC if it's the 4th battle or more. EV3, doesn't do anything. 1 star. 1 star, Plucky Elf. Cool art, I guess. Kind of like it. 1 star. Come on, be real. If it boosts a token unit, if you played an order, you may soul charge 1. This is so many caveats to soul charge 1. Don't play this. Units in token units can intercept. What? Oh, this unit can intercept if you have a token unit. No, not good. This card I think was kind of interesting, like getting call 1 when attacks a great deal or greater if it's 5th battle or more, plus 10,000. I don't even know what you would really run this in. EB3 is kind of hefty to pay for a call 1 and gain 10k later, only on the 5th battle. Like, Zorgut's not gonna run this. I don't know. These are pretty bad. Okay, Dark States. This one's a bit more exciting, because there's a new deck in this set. Alcasal. Alcasal is reliant on hitting 10 soul early, so that you can proc her power effect, so you can proc a lot of her units who need 10 soul, and it's not that difficult to hit. You can hit it pretty reliably. It has pretty strong guarding. Everything in your hand is going to be like 20ks, 30ks, and it has a really strong early tri-lane by making 2 units off the order, playing multiple Filias, but the deck is also really Persona reliant in getting your orders back, and if you don't Persona right, you pretty much have no power. Even with, you'll later see how Leola and the Armor Arms work, it needs Persona right to kill, and if you don't find that, and it's not easy to find it, it's gonna struggle. It's also a twin drive deck, so it's really hard to find Persona rights. It's not bad, it just probably won't be meta relevant. And as such, 3 stars. Alcasal, Grade 0, 4 star art, incredible art, love it. Raising Ideal Alcasal, you can't really rate this without knowing what the Idealized Queen's Fort does, but it's a 3-star card. Basically, the Fort lets you put something from the top 7 into your soul, or on turn 1, basically you can put 2 cards to soul, or you can put a normal unit from your drop into the soul. These are really good. These are really good effects, because normal unit to drop to soul is like, always getting back the things you guard with from the soul, and spoiler, this deck can guard from the soul. But it also means you don't really deck out as fast as some other Dark States decks do with turbo soul charging. It means you can kind of play a grind game, which Alcasal theoretically does like doing because you have such high guard numbers, and the longer the game goes on, the more cards you have in soul that you put from drop to soul, the more powerful some of your units are going to get. It's really well thought out, in my opinion, to be able to play a Darkseid deck that needs a lot of soul, but also isn't at risk of decking out every game. Really cool stuff. Strive Idea Alcasal, this adds any of the orders to your hand, and it's a 3-star card as a result, because the orders are pretty good. I hope the orders are come in a bit. Eternal Idea Alcasal. When this unit is placed on VC, you can read the rest. Placed on VC means only on the first ride and on Persona ride, which is a pretty limiting part of the deck. Needing Persona ride is limiting. And it makes 4 attacks going first, 5 attacks going second, which is good. And also the way that works, like you can call over like the Desire Devil that gives your board guard restrict and it will proc. But a lot of the issue in Alcasal right now is you can see CB1 for this. This is a 3-star card overall. CB1 to call out stuff to multi-attack, but you're also going to need the CB1 to use the orders. We'll get to the orders in a bit. I've just double-checked that they're in the slides. But there are other little friends that Alcasal has. Volcana is one of the best cards that it can use, obviously. Being a 15k attacker if you're 10 or more soul, 5,000 more if you place it from the soul via your Vanguard skill. And with your the order, it's like a 25k attacker on non-persona ride. And again, it has this text where if you don't soul charge, you can put card from drop to soul, which is great. In the pulse effect, critical effect, you're gonna really need to put your triggers on this so they can hit. And this side will gain power, and Leilua is gonna have power as well. You have to kind of split your trigger so that this one has this already has threat being at high crit, whereas Leilua will not have a lot of threat. This is Vyrgilla, who's going to give your Leilua over here threat. Basically, it's kind of complicated to understand. The arms effect, if you're not familiar, you can give Leilua 1,000 power per card in your soul, which will be like 10, so like 10,000 power, or 20,000 power later on, or maybe 30,000 power. This card basically is a second boost for the units that you put back in with Alcasal. And it recycles your Queen's Order, which are good. 3-star card. And Leilua, which I've mentioned a lot, is a 4-star card. I really like cards that are high shield value. And Leilua is rated a bit higher than what you would imagine a vanilla to be rated, just because a 20k shield is incredible. Guards a lot of early attacks. For example, Vanguard boosted, swinging center line is like, let's say 18k on average. If you guard with like Leilua to like a 10k or something, if you're a 10k base, 20k is no pass. That's really strong early game. Not saying you'll do it every game, but you can. And it's stuff that really softens a lot of the early aggressive blows that the game kind of has. So I really like the card. But it's also because it works with stuff like Vyrgilla, who's going to give it a ton of power. And it's also going to work well with the Queen's Orders later. So, first of all, let's talk about the offensive Queen's Order. Basically, CB1, move it to soul, and you can call 2 cards from your soul with different names. Crazy card. And if your soul is 10 or more, you gain 5,000 power to your front row. So, it's really strong. It is advantage just like that. You can call stuff like Iprox Philias. You can call stuff like Orion's out if you're playing that Ace unit, which you can find off your set order already, making your deck almost like, making it so that your set order is almost like Mythiarch Habitat. You can't really use this every turn. Ideally, you don't want to, just because CB1 is such a hefty cost to pay, but it is a very strong effect. I love that it moves to soul, so that you don't lose out on soul. And of course, Vyrgilla can get it back. I've seen this played at 2 copies, at 3 copies. You probably don't want to play 4, because they're also searchable. Makes for one of the best turn 2 tri-lanes in the game. Like, you can really easily produce boards like that. So 3-star card. And Queen's Shield is able to guard from the soul. So you soul charge 1, and then you move 1 card from your soul to your guard circle, which could be something like it's also non-sentinel, right? So it can be even like restand heals for 25 plus 5, which is 30,000. But you're basically always going to guard with Leilua, who is a 30k shield every turn. So yeah, because of this, you also don't want to run Elementaria in your deck. Please run normal PGs, because this card is going to come up a lot, and it's going to be very impactful to always have a 30k shield whenever you need it. Really tanky kind of deck with this one. I really love this effect. That's why it's a 4-star card. Nocti Vagant. You can call it out with EV3, but it doesn't refund your soul early enough. 1-star. Furry Cockatry. You can put 2 Queen's Orders from your soul to the bottom of the deck, which is basically Soul Blast 2, to give 5,000 power if you hit. 1-star. Unfortunate, because this artwork, so cute. Love it. Would you believe that Haruru also got support? I am pretty sure this deck was designed by the devil, and the best thing we can do in the New Year celebration for Vanguard is we take this card and we throw tomatoes at it live on stage. The deck is already super good, and having more toys in rotation improves the hit rate on the order, and not only that, the toy they gave him is very good. It almost makes the deck a little bit easier too, and I don't even know if we really need to make Haruru easier. This is probably one of the easiest decks in the format right now, which is, a shame. because it's pretty strong. 4-star card, but I'm not happy about it. Fashion Doll Ruby Rouge is a 4-star card. It's very strong. It's a cycler. It moves the soul really easy. If you call it out from the soul via Heartluru skill, you can bind it and then just call back something from the drop zone. For if you're kind of a weaker player, and not to say that as a negative thing, you're just learning the deck maybe, this can be used to kind of fix your board states if you mess up. If you're a good player, this is just going to read proc another Sparkling Bunny. Just keep using Sparkling Bunny over and over and over again. It's unbelievable. This card shouldn't exist. I don't know why it exists. The deck is so much more consistent now. It's a lot better. I don't know. Not a fan of improving the floor of a deck that was already really good. On the bright side, Recording Ohm Parrot is not that good. It's a 1-star card, but there are use cases for it as a way to give your Vanguard 5,000 power, which doesn't seem like too much, but does make or break some guarding patterns. And, you know, you kind of have to hard guard Heartluru sometimes because you have to save your perfect guards for when they check Valnot and put it all onto Bravely Lost, right? So, you know, 1-star card, but there is some potential for play. Selseera also got cards. Do you remember Selseera? Selseera is a PR boss that revolves around using orders in her soul. Think of it like Dark State's Zorga, except less sexy because Zorga's hot. The deck is a little better because of the cards, but it's still kind of frail because you're playing a ton of orders and you're playing a Dark State's deck. The Dark State's orders are mostly bad, though there is a good order here, and it is a better deck, but it's not meta relevant. Very similar to Shibuild, 2-star deck. Persecuted Mage Lazuli can basically come back every time you place your Vanguard, and when you bind, you can just search any order you want and just put it to yourself. Just do whatever you want. Just move the order to the drop zone. Who cares? Very strong card. Very strong card. Stuck in Selseera. It gives some amount of power to the unit boost. Who cares? It's such a big consistency buff. But it's kind of boringly made. And also it makes your deck a lot more Persona reliant because if you don't Persona right Selseera, oopsie, no callback. So 2 stars. Alongside that, a great accumulation of knowledge. This card is a little bit expensive right now. I am recording this in case it's not clear. I'm recording this after the set has come out. This card is getting a little bit pricier. So if you think you need it, get it sooner rather than later. But it's good. It's like Bifront's, sort of. But also has a discard skill. I could see this. Obviously, this card is meant to be in Selseera. Card will be decent in maybe something like Blank the Mire, maybe. Yeah, it's not bad. But whether or not you want to play it constantly is... I mean, whether or not all Dark State decks can run it is iffy. It's like Cage that sacrifices power for a bit of consistency. So, 2 stars. Alright. Again, the best section. 1 star. Kind of interesting removal, but needs your opponent to be great through a greater. Kind of slow. I think at the time it comes out, you'll have better things to do. And CP1 in Dark States is so expensive. So, no shot. Thrilling Jester. 1 star. I don't know if you could tell, this card is bad. This is not Thrilling Jester. This is a set order that moves 2 cards from your... I mean, you can read the effect. It's not great. I don't know when you would run this. I don't know what deck wants cards in the order zone as Dark States, but it's a 1-star card. This is not named Thrilling Jester, but I just got the name wrong. My bad. Okay. Brandt Gate. Brandt Gate actually got 2 big bosses this set, and would you believe it, they're bad. Arms. Arms is a deck that is already kind of mid, but now the deck is a lot better. But being a lot better than the old arms is not saying a lot. Everything still feels a little bit slow, like the arms don't gain shield early and only gain it on intercept. Even though the deck is fast, in theory, and has really good aggression, it still feels a bit behind in a lot of ways. I mainly think about the shieldless arms, needing to find the order every turn so that you can get your arms back. In the grind game, you're kind of weak because if you don't have a way to get your arms back, it's like, darn. So I don't know. 2-star overall. If you look at the price now, this is a really cheap deck to start building because it's not very good. It's like Grand Arm Silhouette, 2-star card. Like, it's better. It gives your front row a bit more power. What's more important are how the new arms are, because I think the effect is mostly the same for the old arms. But the new arms, well, we'll get to those in a bit, are better, like a lot better. Masterful Mechanic Adius is a 2-star card. It reads generic, but it's really all arm support. And it's bad. Looking 5, put 1 to hand is okay, but in arms it's a bit harder to hit an order card than something like Helgvar. CB1 callback 1 is nice to have, but you don't want to use it. It's like, if things go really bad, you can use it, but you don't want to use it. It's expensive. Strong Right is good. Strong Right is the card that gives crit to your Vanguard, gives power to your Vanguard, and also can do some retire, which is nice. And both arms on intercept gain 5k shield. Same with Strong Left over here, who also is able to draw one or have a Bifrost-like effect. And let me tell you from testing, the Bifrost effect pisses me off so much. You'll play it, and then you'll put like a trigger to the bottom, trigger to your soul, trigger to your hand. Like, it's so maddening. Overall, it's not so bad. Like, on paper, it's not bad, but once you play it, you'll see that it's a little slow. Those are all the arms cards of that set. They're not great. But Avant-Garde Masks is a lot faster than the old Avant-Garde. You don't really need to run Richter anymore if you consider that a better fit, because we're now running the Mask of Hydrogum. The Masks package has the usual pros and cons, you know, the explosive second, sometimes you can brick on it, but because of the wretch now you probably won't. But even with all of this, I think Avant-Garde Masks is a bit too slow relative to other decks in the format. In fact, I think it's slow relative to decks like Varga in DZ-BT12. Like, it's just really hard to find a reason to play this if you want to win. So 2 stars. I don't really think this is that great, but it's a nice upgrade to Avant-Garde. You know, you can read the effects as is, but you can proc 2 orders with the skill, and you can restand the center line, woohoo, and you can restand the side 2 with the new order as well. We'll get to the new order in a bit. One of the new cards is Grail Zyron, who can play a card from your deck or drop. If I was being a bit more generous, maybe a 3-star card. It is pretty good, but it basically is meant to just search for the new order, I believe, who's gonna restand a rear guard. It's fine, because all the Avant-Garde cards are just fine. Like, see, it's meant to search this out, right? Who is going to restand their side, and then you play, like, the card that stops intercepts, and you have a really potent offense. But even then, I don't know, the power's fine. That's all I can say about Avant-Garde Masks and all of Brandt Gate. It's fine. It's okay. It's an improvement from what you used to have, but it's not good. Though Dragon Tree Wretch Kai's Kaitool, this is supposed to be a 3-star card. I think this card is a lot better than anything else just because it works in decks that are not named Avant-Garde. But it is really good in Avant-Garde, and it's also really good in Orphist, who I have a lot of hopes for this set. I think Orphist is really good this set, because it's now a lot more consistent. And Orphist's ceiling and floor is pretty high. Orphist's ceiling is really high, its floor is quite bad, but this will help with getting to that floor. I think it's good in Gravidia. Makes Gravidia Mask decks a bit more viable, especially with all the support they keep pumping out to make Gravidia Masks a deck. Give it a shot. I think this deck is fine. I think this card is really good. All the wretches are really good, obviously. Would advise you to pick these up if you're into these Brandt Gate Mask decks earlier rather than later, before they become a little harder to find. Quadruple Circular. This is kind of a generic CB1. You can retire something if you have a set order or if you have a locked card. Wow, is CBD coming back? Who knows? And if the bind zone is high or order zone is high, you can get more shield. 1-star card. This card is bad. Don't play this card. No reason to. I guess maybe Messiah can kind of play it, but you have better things to run. New monster POGCHAMP. New monster POGCHAMP. 1-star. I have no idea when you'll play this. I don't know. I don't even think this is good in like Archetype. Don't play this. 1-star. Twin Blades of Fact and Fiction. 1-star. This card is not good. Confront Jet Gunner. Placed from hand. Vanguard's Great Reguregnus. You can see it on the screen. It's a 1-star card. I know it's tedious to go through the comments and the rest and just say 1-star over and over again, but I'm sure some of you are very fond of me sounding more and more disappointed. What do you want me to say? Like, if you have another rear guard in the same column, this card can boost and can't be retired. Wow, 13k booster. I don't know. You can discard 1 to draw 1 and soul charge 1. That's more interesting than some of the other cards in the set, but You have to have 2 more set orders. You already have to have a set order to discard. Seems unlikely to proc this regularly, and you have better ways to get cards to your hand. EB4 put a set order. No, don't play this. EB4, are you kidding? That much? Crooked Rhino Mask. A mask card. When this unit attacks a great deal greater non-booster, it gains 10k. At the end of the battle, retire the unit. Was it too strong without that? White Inspector. Ugh. If you have no face-up cards, can intercept from back row. Awesome. This is a really cute art. It's bad though. Like, I guess it's kind of like it can be extra shield. I mean, you call it off the Archetype on swing effect. You know, you have an extra 5k shield to work with, but no, not good. What's that Mega Visor? They made a bunch of interesting-ish orders this set, but no, this is a bad one. Reveal 3 cards from your hand on attack, then they use them to guard, and then that's it. What would, like, like, what do you want me to say? Like, it's information that you won't get to leverage. So, yeah, Brandt Gate, kind of disappointing this set. At least you got 2 new bosses, which is cool. Can't say the same for certain other nations. Speaking of which, Keter Sanctuary. Keter Sanctuary is a nation that got cards this set. Let's start with Royal Paladin. This is mainly Alfred support, but it's kind of limited in scope. It operates on this weird idea that you want to find Blaster Blade for some reason, and you kind of don't want that. Its main use case is going to be searching out Blaster Blade, the Vanguard in Majesty Lord. So that's a good buff. Alfred, I feel, is kind of underrated as a strategy, but this probably doesn't change the math on whether or not the deck is meta or not. I think the deck is underrated, but this doesn't make it tier 1, you know? It's hard to say, even with all the Royal Paladin cards, and this is a 2-star overall package. Ganslot, 2 stars. Main use case is going to be finding the Blaster Blades. It is a 2 crit attacker for one of the attacks, even though Alfred can restand it. If you gain the crit, it has to move to the bottom of the deck, which, I don't know if that's really what you want. It adds Blaster Blade back to your hand, which I'm not sure is very good. Don't think any of the decks right now are running Blaster Blade at high quantities. Maybe MLB is, but I don't know. Just reads kind of weird, like, what does this guy do? Like, what's the plan here? Funnily enough, if you attack Vyrgilla, this is a huge attacker. It's like a 68. It's like a 63k attacker. Wow. That's it, though. That's the funniest use case for this card. Augusians, is a countercharger in Alfred, which is nice to have. Alfred does CB quite a fair bit. And it can intercept from the back row, but it's still a pretty limited card altogether. And only works in Alfred, basically. Unless you really want that intercept in, like, MLB, it's hard to find the room for this card. It's okay. It's nothing crazy. This is technically a card for Royal Paladin. This card can give all your cards that you got with Great Tier... all your Royal Paladins that are Great Tier greater when they guard are going to become 5k shields. So those Gansalots, those Soul Savers, they're 5k shields now. It's a 1-star card. This card is bad. Luhan got cards. This deck is bad. I don't really see how this deck is good in this current age. The support doesn't even really bring it close enough to the modern game. Like, you're fighting a really underwhelming base as is. So it's really hard to imagine a world where Luhan is good. 1-star package overall. Like, this card, Aiden, does a lot. It's fine. It makes your triggers doubly effective, but that means you have to get triggers out. You can play the order for free. I mean, you basically change the cost to EB3, right? Yay, you can play the order for free. But then you're still playing Luhan. It's 1-star, I don't know. I feel pretty bad that Luhan mains waited like 2 years and they got not much. Kirdiff is a 13-10. I mean, yay. You can get 1 of the cards you check with Luhan Maris to your hand. Not all 2 or like 3. You get 1. Cool. 1-star. Nationless. You can move a card from your drop to your bottom of your deck. 1-star. Like, you can call it off the drive check, which is nice. I don't know if you would really want to play that for the drive check, but technically raise up the ceiling? I don't know. Okay, Nebula Knights got cards too, and Nebula Knights are not bad. They have a pretty decent aggro package as is, and this smooths it out a lot. It's nothing crazy, but it's nice to have. Just a QOL buff, kind of like Shibuild. This is EB3 draw 1. How's that okay? And if your opponent is grade 2 or greater, you can scry already. That's pretty good. And it has resist. But it has resist along with an effect that does something, so the card is good. 2 stars. Reguregnus. Countercharge 1 and shield +5. Decent card to be put into the drop zone for whatever reason. Only works in one specific scenario, but still fine. 1 star. I mean 2 stars, sorry. Divine Sister got cards this set. Could you believe that? Divine Sister, if you're not familiar, uses this PR boss, Leche, I believe, who will gain, who can multi-attack and kind of like stack the deck, sort of. Kind of like old Tsukuyomi, I guess. This deck has like a singular top. It's not that bad. This is a QOL buff. It's already a pretty okay aggro deck. Again, you can see I've copy-pasted the text. It's the same. The barrier to entry is kind of high with this deck. It's hard to find the pieces. But it probably has some potential if you have all the pieces. 2 stars. Cross Tata. This is one of the craziest cards ever made. It's just on place, check top 3, call 1. Like, that's okay. Like, it has no cost. None of the text on this card has a cost, basically. It's really strong. I guess you could whiff the top 3, but unlikely. I guess you'll play it full Divine Sister deck. So, 2 stars. But you are still playing Divine Sister to get this effect, so... But that's the drawback. Canal, this card is a scry, and it also gains 5,000 power, which is a 1-star effect. There's a card in Divine Sister that gains 15k when it's restood, and I think that card's just a lot better of an attacker anyways, so play that one instead. Oh boy, the Pack Filler. This unit gains 5,000 for every 2 cards in your damage zone, so it is at best a 10,000 point shield. 1 star. Steadfast Knight, Killage, cannot be cannot be retired, but only if you have no other rear guards. 1 star. Knight of High Honor, Sabrine. If your front row has no other rear guards, cannot be chosen, and cannot be attacked. 1 star. You're protecting something that isn't worth protecting. Knight of Sternos, Heresius, EB2, retire 1, and then you can retire 1 and gain 5k. Very hard to find a space for something like this. Wouldn't you rather just play something like Blaster Dark? I'm not sure. And also, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this card doesn't do anything. Kibelt. Only if you've already taken damage this turn, EB2, and becomes a 15k shield. 1 star. Altruism Eagle. Great art. When a high beast is placed, card goes to the bottom, plus 5k. 1 star. This card goes minus to give something plus 5k. Are you kidding me? Very sad that something so cool wasted on this. Expert Closure Angel. A lot of damage zone related cards this set. Pretty interesting, but no Angel Feather-like effect obviously. Unit gains 5,000 shield if 3 or more. If no face up, Soul Blast 1, 10,000 shield. Not even like a 20k shield. Just okay, 1 star. Don't play this. Inject Sting Gun. Counterblast 1. Choose a face-up card with grade less from your damage zone. Call it to rearguard circle. That's pretty cool. I mean, you put the top card to damage, obviously, but hey, this is the closest you will get to an Angel Feather-like effect in D standard, so go nuts, guys. Go build Inject Sting Gun Turbo. 1 star. There are Nationless cards this set as well. So let's talk about Elme Da'at, who is a Mask of Hydrogum / Dragon Tree assistant here. This can search out the wretches, this can search out the mask itself, this can search out the mask units, it can even search out Sephirogila if you still need to search that out. And it can remove itself, and it can become the cost for like an Orphist effect or an Avant-Garde effect. So you don't have to remove the old card that you don't have to remove the old grade 3 for the skill. So you don't have to run those anymore. 3 stars. Very strong. Some of the ones do want to be ridden over. Orphist and Omina Gruzio want to be ridden over and over again to keep proccing worlds. But yeah, aside from that, pretty strong. You can search and add the wretches and stuff, so you have a ton of ways to hit. Little fella is going to be a little bit pricier the later it goes on if mask decks are good, because it's a triple red generic, so pick it up early if you can, but yeah, not a bad card. And Green OT. One of the attacking units gains +1 crit, +1 drive till the end of battle. Keep in mind, it only works on the unit that is attacking, so it's not like you can give drive to a rearguard that doesn't already have drive, right? And also, only until the end of the battle. Really weird stuff. Like, it's fine in, like, maybe a Bor Virina Buffsagra build. In Poldio, you can get something like 6-7 drives. In something like Angel, that's not bad. But it's really hard to want to run this over something like Valnod or Eidos Pharaoh or Night Skies, so 1 star, which is a shame. I really like how this one looks, but I don't think it's particularly good. Again, end of battle was such a killer line. Eidos Pharaoh gives crit till the end of the turn, you know? So, final thoughts. This set probably doesn't change the meta too much. Maybe Deeplands is good, maybe Estasion is good enough, but the rest of the decks I think are more suited for more quote-unquote casual play, for pet decking, for having a good time rather than I want to win, so I'll play this over another choice. I do really like the direction of the new decks took in this set. I think Deeplands and Alcasal are really fun and cool. I think Brawlers are a really good step in the right direction for making Legion a cool mechanic again. But other than that, it's like DZ-BT12 was designed by a very evil individual, and thus it is hard to power creep that. Like, it's hard to find a deck here that is better than something like Minerva, or Toys, or how strong Vyrgilla was around that time. Really, really bleak stuff in terms of power. Like, we're still gonna see Minerva continuously. It's rough. And I'm so sorry if you like Keter Sanctuary. There's nothing for you this set. Like, I just don't know. Like, there's no new boss to try out. None of the new cards are that cool or interesting. It's just rough. This set is rough for Keter. Unless you play Nebula Knights, that deck's cool. That is it for the set review. Sorry if it's a bit rushed and if I'm a bit late on this. I've been, playing around with the set and testing it and trying out stuff. But yeah, I think the set is a lot of fun. I don't know if this is going to be the set that, that's going to change the competitive landscape a lot. But I think some of the decks are really cool. A lot of people are attached to stuff like Arms as is. They like the mask mechanic, so they got a lot of support there. And the Skyride decks are really awesome. I think it's a fun set to play. Have fun with your friends with it. But I wouldn't look to this set for the next big thing in the metagame, unless you really believe in Deeplands. So that's it from me. I hope I can upload more frequently, but sorry that this is so late. Alright, take care everyone. Bye-bye.